Every family has that one member who refuses to follow the rules of nature. In this family, that member is a small orange cat named Cheeto, who apparently never got the memo that cats and squirrels aren't supposed to be best friends, that grumpy old dogs aren't supposed to become nap buddies, and that a kitten definitely isn't supposed to know how to play the piano. This is the story of one very friendly British Shorthair, the dog who reluctantly adopted him, and the wild squirrel who turned him into a brother. It all started a couple of months ago when a couple went to meet a 9-week-old ball of orange fluff. There, a man who had always had big dogs and who, by his own admission, wasn't a cat person, met the kitten who would change everything. That kitten was Cheeto, and his soon-to-be dad fell instantly, hopelessly, and completely in love. Because who wouldn't? Just look at this kitten. He's irresistible. The only problem was, there was already a dog running the household. Ruger, a Boston Terrier with the energy and patience of a retired grandfather, had seniority, and nobody was quite sure how he'd feel about a tiny new roommate. So when Cheeto marched straight up to introduce himself, paw first, no fear in his little body, the humans held their breath. Ruger, for his part, could not have cared less. He looked at the kitten, noted his presence, and went back to minding his own business. The show was over. For safety's sake, Ruger got his own space for a while, and Cheeto had the run of the house. Then, one night, he vanished completely. No cat under the couch, no cat in the closet, no cat anywhere a 9-week-old kitten should logically be. They finally found him in Ruger's part of the house, tucked right behind the big dog like he'd been sleeping there his whole life. Ruger didn't seem thrilled about this invasion of his personal space, but from that night forward, the ice had officially been broken. Slowly, cautiously, on Ruger's terms, a friendship began to grow. But just as the household was settling into its new normal, along came one more unexpected little resident, much smaller and very much unplanned. While out walking Ruger one day, Cheeto's dad spotted something shaking on the ground. It was a tiny, terrified baby squirrel. He crouched down, held out his hand, and the squirrel simply climbed in, like he'd already decided who his new father was going to be. That squirrel went home with Ruger and his dad, because what else is a man supposed to do when he comes across a scared little squirrel all alone on the road? He looked for other squirrels nearby, hoping the little guy's family was somewhere close, but he couldn't find them. Nutz was alone and vulnerable, easy prey. Yes, his name is Nutz. Not particularly original, but he needed help, not an original name. What followed was a lot of late-night research on how to raise a wild animal who never asked to be raised by a human in the first place.
Okay, you want some banana, buddy? Okay, hold on. There you go. Oh yeah, you love banana. You love bananas, huh? Yeah.
Now here's the part nobody expected. Of everyone in the house, it was Cheeto, the cat, the supposed natural predator, who welcomed Nutz first and without hesitation. He groomed the baby squirrel like he was tending to one of his own littermates, much to Nutz's visible confusion. Eventually, Nutz gave in, and the two of them would play together like the most mismatched set of best friends nature has ever produced. Their play sessions became everyone's favorite part of the day, especially their dads. It couldn't last forever, though. Squirrels aren't meant to live indoors, and eventually it was time for Nutz to go back outside where he belonged. A little house went up in a tree in the yard, and Nutz hopped right in and made himself at home. It was a bittersweet moment, but it had to be done. Dad did everything he could to make it the best home Nutz could possibly have. There was a soft little blanket inside. Fresh water and his favorite food were provided regularly, and Dad still spends time with Nutz every single day. Nutz clearly enjoys it. This human became his family. In the meantime, Cheeto and Ruger formed a close bond, so the big house on the ground didn't feel empty for long. These days, Cheeto is Ruger's shadow. Wherever the dog beds down, the cat is right there beside him seconds later. He's a full-time copycat. He even started joining Ruger for outside walks. As for his friendship with Nutz, it didn't end when Nutz moved into his new house. He may live in the tree now, but he's still part of the family, and Cheeto gets to see him regularly. But because a squirrel can't safely live indoors and a house cat can't safely roam free outside, the family found their own compromise: window visits. Snack time finds Cheeto quietly perched at the glass, Nutz just outside on the other side. Two brothers watching each other through the window as if Cheeto is silently promising to look out for him no matter which side of the glass they're on. Cheeto even visited Nutz's tree once, but he wasn't quite ready for outdoor adventures yet, so he looked a little intimidated by the height.
I know, you're up so high. You scaredy cat. You're afraid of heights.
Nutz, on the other hand, once visited the big house on the ground, but by then he had fully embraced life outdoors and seemed thoroughly confused about why he was back inside. Somewhere along the way, Cheeto also picked up a few personality quirks of his own. He's been unofficially crowned CEO of napping operations, not currently accepting new clients or doing any actual work. He once hid so well inside an empty ramen box that his own family searched for him for 10 straight minutes, only to find him looking supremely pleased with his new apartment. And in perhaps his strangest talent yet, he somehow figured out how to hop up and play the piano keys. He won't cuddle on command or sleep in anyone's bed, but apparently he'll write you a song.
Hey, Cheeto, how did you even turn that on? I don't know how the cat turned that on, because that is always off. And now he's playing a song. Here's some more. Ooh, those two didn't really work well together. Makes your dissonance, huh?
Cheeto has turned out to be exactly the kind of cat who breaks every rule about what cats are supposed to do. He accepted a wild baby squirrel as his own, melted a grumpy old dog's heart, and reminded everyone that the most unlikely families are often the ones that fit together best.